There is a flood of new non-fiction releases coming toward us like a tsunami wave. Summer is almost over, September is around the corner, and the market is getting flooded with new exciting non-fiction releases. And in this video I'm going to help you narrow down the selection and highlight a few books, actually there's 8 of them, that I find to be the most exciting non-fiction releases for September. And it's everything from well-established authors to hidden gems. We have a lot of books to cover, so let's jump right into it. Hi and welcome to the Book Lab. I'm Björn and this is the channel where I review the best non-fiction books in the world and also share what upcoming releases comes out and other tips on how to be a lifelong learner. We have a long list of exciting books this week, so let's start with number 1, and it's from no other than Yuval Noah Harari, famous for the book Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind. And his next book is called Nexus. It's 528 pages and it's out on September 10th. The tagline is A Brief History of Information Networks. Stories brought us together, books spread our ideas and our mythologies. The internet promised infinite knowledge, the algorithm learned our secrets and then turned us against each other. What will AI do? To me, Yuval Noah Harari is a conflicting character. I've been listening to him less than I did before, but I also revere him a lot because he got me into reading. When I read this book back in the day, I was really impressed by it, and it was one of the first books that really brought me deeper into the non-fiction space. And I've read many other of his releases, for instance 21 Questions for the 21st Century, Homo Deus, and whatever else they are called. So I'm always interested to see what this guy has on his mind. Quote, "This deeply important book comes at a critical time as we think through the implications of AI." This quote is from Mustafa Solomon, and I'm gonna take this moment just to recommend that book because I've actually read it. Yes, Mustafa Solomon is the author of this book, which I gave a lot of praise in my review. You can check out the link below if you want to see that one. The Coming Wave, Technology, Power, and the 21st Century's Greatest Dilemma. I do recommend this one. Next book, How Economics Explains the World, A Short History of Humanity. It's by Andrew Leigh. It's out on September 3rd, and it's 240 pages. A sweeping, engrossing history of how economic forces have shaped our world, and it all comes in at 200 pages. Usually when I hear of book titles like this, I expect huge volume. This seems to be something more bite-sized, which is actually welcome. I'm looking for shorter books on economics. This small book indeed tells a big story. It's the story of capitalism, of how our market system developed. It is the story of the discipline of economics and some of the key figures who formed it. If you follow this channel for a while, you know I've been deep down the rabbit hole of economics recently because I believe that some of the key issues that we have on a personal level, on a societal level, on a global level, could be fixed if we actually fix our money and our economic systems, which seems to be a bit broken at this moment. I've also put up another video about the importance of reading history, and I'm reading a lot of history right now. So this book seems to combine those topics that are favorites of mine at this point in time. They seem to combine them perfectly. Quote, "If you read one book about economics, then Andrew Leigh's clear, insightful and remarkable and short work is what you should read." And that's a quote from Claudia Gobin, who is a 2023 Nobel Prize winner in economics. The next book is called Memento Mori, The Art of Contemplating Death to Live a Better Life. It's out on September 13 and it's 304 pages and it's by Joanna Ebenstein. Quote, "Talking about death has been deemed morbid, taboo and even pathological. But in order to fully embrace life, scientists, psychologists and spiritual leaders all agree. Contemplating death is the key to living a life full of meaning." I have been a proponent for a long time about contemplating death and our finite time here on Earth. This mindset has come to me by studying Stoic philosophy first and foremost. And it's been one of the key insights from my journey as a reader and a lifelong learner. And I think Steve Jobs frames the importance of contemplating death very well in his famous commencement speech, and I will actually link to that as well in the description below. Quote, through personal anecdotes, historical examples, meditations, exercises, journal prompts, and reflections, you will learn both to come to terms with what death means and to live alongside it without fear. In doing so, you can now see your life in a new light and discover what makes life worth living. And honestly, when I looked through the releases for this month, there is so much personal development books coming out, especially aimed towards productivity at work and how to balance work and how to get rid of stress, stuff like that. And I found this one the most interesting of the bunch because it seems to have a new take on well-being and it approaches this from an interesting angle. But let's jump into the next book by Rebecca L. Davis, Fierce Desires, A New History of Sex and Sexuality in America. It's out on September 3rd and it's 480 pages. And who is this Rebecca? She is a history professor at the University of Delaware. Quote, it may seem as though debates over sex are more intense than ever, but as acclaimed historian Rebecca L. Davis demonstrates in Fierce Desires, we should not be too surprised, because Americans have been arguing over which kind of sex is acceptable, which are not, since before the founding itself. One of the reasons I want to highlight this book, because this is a topic I haven't explored that much, but I started to read a book. I'm still working my way through it slowly, and it's been just fantastic. And it's this book, A Billion Wicked Thoughts, What the Internet Tells Us About Sexual Relationships. A quick pitch for this book, because I truly recommend it. It's from these scientists. They've got an access to a ton of search data from pornographic sites, and they have been looking at how human desire looks, the difference between men and women, gay and straight, different continents of the world. It's just super interesting. It's really hard to get your hands on such good raw data that tells us something about human sexual desire, because people are usually hesitant to talk about it because there's so many taboos. It's hard to make research on it. And this is a really good book for anyone interested. Back to the book that we're talking about. This book is supposed to be the most comprehensive account of America's sexual past. It demonstrates how fiercely we have always valued our desires and how far we are willing to go to defend them. So that's definitely a book I would like to check out. Before we go into the next topic, which is totalitarianism, we have one book about the far left and the one about the far right. We also have two books on evolution, one from a legendary author. I just wanted to say that if you enjoy the content on the channel, like and subscribe. Then when I publish a video or a new video review, it will pop up in your feed, and it will also help me reach more people, so I really appreciate if you do that. The next book on the list is called Erasing History, How Fascists Rewrite the Past to Control the Future by Jason Stanley. It's out on September 10th. And it's 256 pages. From the best-selling author of How Fascism Works, a searing confrontation with the far right's effort to rewrite history and undo a century of progress on race, gender, sexuality, and class. Quote, in Erasing History, Yale professor of philosophy Jason Stanley exposes the true danger of the authoritarian right's attack on education, identifies the key tactics and founders, and traces their intellectual roots. He illustrates how fears of a fascist future have metastasized from a hypothetical threat to a present reality. And he shows how hearts and minds are one in our schools and universities, places he explains that democratic societies across the world are now ill-prepared to defend against the fascist assault currently underway. A quite alarming description of this book. We'll see. I'm not fully convinced, but I found it interesting too, and I put it in here. And now we have something else by Sean McMeekin. Yes, that's how I tried to pronounce it. To Overthrow the World, the Rise and Fall and Rise of Communism. It's out on September 10th. It's 544 pages. In To Overthrow the World, McMeekin investigates the evolution of communism from a seductive ideal of a classless society into the ruling doctrine of tyrannical regimes. A history of communism. That sounds right up my alley. I'm currently reading quite the opposite. I'm reading Adam Smith's The Wealth of Nations. Interesting book from one perspective, quite tedious from another. He is also known as the father of capitalism. So this book sounds like a great counter book to what I'm reading currently. And the best way I know to explore a topic deeply is to read both sides of an argument or topic. Blending historical narrative with cutting-edge scholarship, To Overthrow the World revolutionizes our understanding of the evolution of communism. An idea that seemingly just won't die. It's like a cockroach. You try to kill it, but it still comes back. Then we have a book by Richard Dawkins and his fellow illustrator. I forgot to write that name down, but it's called The Genetic Book of the Dead, a Darwinian Reverie. It's out on September 17th. It's 360 pages. In this groundbreaking exploration of the power of Darwinian evolution and what it can reveal about the past, Richard Dawkins shows us how the body, behavior, and genes of every living creature can be read just like a book. Richard Dawkins is of course the man behind this book, and he's famous for his book The Selfish Gene, and also he's the inventor of meme theory. What is a meme? Meme is a unit of culture. Basically it can be an idea, it can be the idea of how we make pots, how we build arches, it can be fashion. These ideas are transmitted between people, and it can be seen as a faster way than genetic evolution because ideas spread faster than genes. And of course there is a battle of ideas as well, and the best one propagate into the future. This book, The Genetic Book of the Dead, promises a lot of vivid illustrations as well. In the future, a zoologist presented with a hitherto unknown animal will be able to decode its ancestral history, to read its unique Book of the Dead. Such readings are already uncovering the remarkable ways animals overcome obstacles, adapt to their environments, and again develop remarkably similar ways of solving life's problems. It's not every day we get a new Richard Dawkins book, so my eyes are peeled on this one. But wait, there is more. The Darwinian Trap, the hidden evolutionary forces that explain our world and threaten our future. So congratulations, you have this book has won the prize for the longest title this month, but will it win Pick of the Month? We will see in a few seconds, and I need to make up my mind on that one. It's by Kristian Rönn. It's 304 pages and it's out on September 24th. Quote, humans, it turns out, are intrinsically wired to seek short-term success at the expense of long-term prosperity. The book promises to be a provocative exploration on how humans are wired to seek out short-term success at the expense of long-term survival. Kind of a genetic glitch or evolutionary glitch that explains everything from toxic workplaces to climate change. In this eye-opening book, Kristian Rönn, who is an entrepreneur and formerly of University of Oxford's Future of Humanity Institute, he shows us how we need to find new ways to cooperate in order to escape these evolutionary traps in our daily lives and solve our biggest existential threats. Evolution may be to blame for the trap, but that doesn't mean we must fall into it. So that's the full list for this week, and I'm gonna take a pick of the week, and I want you to let me know in the comments as well which one of these books you are most excited about, and maybe I can check it out and put out a review here on the channel. And I also just want to get to know you more and figure out what makes you tick when it comes to non-fiction books. Which book should I choose? It's gonna be a tricky one this month. Alright, I think I have to go for two books. Nexus by Yuval Noah Harari. It's just going to be one of those books that everyone talks about, and I want to be in the conversation. And also, also interested because I have so much history reading his books. I want to just check up on how his ideas are evolving. And the second book is actually How Economics Explains the World, A Short History of Humanity. I'm just interested in this topic right now, and this is a very suitable book for me. It's a bit shorter. It's something that I can maybe finish in a week or so. For some reason, economics is just super fascinating to me right now, and I want to just lean into that energy and see where it takes me. Let me know what you're reading this week in the comments as well, so I can pick up some good recommendations. And I'll be back with more book reviews next week. Until then, Björn out. Happy reading.